So don't celebrate women, don't empower women, pay us.
Yeah.
Get ready to be thoroughly entertained, hilariously challenged, and profoundly inspired. Strap yourself in for Keeping It Real with Jac and Ral.
Welcome back to another episode of Keeping It Real with Jac and Ral.
Meow.
And we have got a good one coming up this week. And we sort of decided to do this one because it's International Women's Day this week, coming up on Friday. And anyway, hello, how are you?
Oh, chop liver. Hello, Ral. Good to see you. My name's Jac, and this is Keeping It Ral with
Keeping
Real.
It Ral.
Keeping It Real.
Oh, my God.
Keeping It Ral. Keeping It Real with Jac and Ral.
See, like I said last episode, this is exactly why we don't do the official sign-on
Edits
anymore,
or
because
cuts.
you can't get it right. International Women's Day coming up. So we thought we would talk about something that seems to be only associated with women, but it actually annoys the hell out of me that it is. And that is this concept of having it all.
I want it all. That's what I
I
burst into
want it
sing.
now. Okay, stop singing.
Having it all.
Yeah, it only seems to be associated with women. Like, can women have it all? Men,
Yeah, it's true.
No one ever says to a man, "Can he have it all?"
That's very true.
Is that
Very, very
because he
true.
has it all?
Probably. Or he doesn't talk about it, or people just assume that he can have it all. I don't know, but I think you've raised a very good point.
Yeah. Remember when Jacinda Ardern resigned? Was it just last year?
Yeah.
About a year ago.
Just
And
over a year
she
ago.
resigned after doing a splendid job running New Zealand for, I don't know, 6-7 years,
yeah,
like a
long
long
time.
time. She gave birth I think in her first year of
did.
being Prime Minister. And the BBC, as soon as she resigned, the title of their newspaper saying, "Can women really have it all?"
Bloody poms.
And they got canned.
I should think so.
And within 24 hours, they had dropped the headline. They changed it.
Apologised?
They did apologise. They probably, which is good, because normally they blame it on the trainee or something.
true.
So they apologised, but they apologised for the sexist
Element.
element
I
and
should think so.
admitting that it was sexist. And I think it is sexist because, all these other men resign and no one says, "Oh, can they really have it all?"
And after 6 or 7 years of leadership, there are a lot of things they could have spoken about
Yes.
in that resignation, but instead they chose to focus on she wanted to have it all, or she couldn't have it all.
Yeah, she couldn't really have it all. Like,
So what does having it all mean, Ral?
well, that's a good thing too. Like, I think having it all is, you should decide what your all is. Like, it's got to be your all, because your all and my all could be very, very different.
Guarantee they would be.
So first of all, I just think it's a stupid concept, like having it all. Like, first of all,
But I want it all.
I don't want it now.
I don't want it now. I don't think it's a stupid concept. I don't think there's anything wrong with being aspirational and wanting it all. But I think you're absolutely right. You do you. Define what your all is, and don't be led or influenced by others. That palliative care nurse, Bronnie Ware, wrote a book, Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. She's an Aussie palliative care nurse. And the number one regret? Not living a life that I wanted, but instead having it defined by others. So having it all, what does it even mean?
Do you think you got it all? Do you think would you say, if someone said, "Do you have it all?" What would you say?
I'd probably say yes, I do. But
Yeah,
but
I
I haven't always had it all, and my all has changed. So in my 20s, having it all meant, I wanted to be a great radio announcer. So working hard, in my career. In my 30s, it was about, I want to be a really great mum. I was having babies. In my 40s, it was very much about the career and now moving into banking and corporate. I also did my MBA in my 40s. My first actual university experience was in my 40s. So I felt like I was doing it all then. And now in my 50s,
Getting out of bed.
everything has changed. It's not about working for someone else. It's about working for me. It's about being healthy. It's still being a great mum. It's still being present, but the need for that is different. What's your?
Did you? Well, I was going to say,
Having it
when
all.
you were when the kids were younger, you still worked. Did you work full time or?
No, I took 4 years off to have both kids. And in that time, I set up my own little consulting business so I could do a little bit of work. But my main focus, my main priority was being a mum.
Yeah.
So, and that seemed right at the time. I knew it wasn't going to be forever. And so I parked the career and focused on being a mum.
I'm probably similar. I had, in my early 20s, it was just all about getting promoted in your early 20s. I think
I thought you were going to say getting pregnant. The pro.
No, it was certainly not about that.
Avoiding getting pregnant.
It was, you just wanted to earn money and
Have fun.
and do
Go
stuff. And so it was all about getting promoted for me in my 20s. And then, so I had Alex when I was 32, 33. I did take some time off. So I did take, I went part-time. So I went from full-time to part-time.
Were you at the bank?
I was at NAB. So, yes, I was at the bank and I worked for someone who was just provided amazing, flexible working options.
That's pretty cool because that was a while ago when that wasn't an expectation.
But I did go part-time. I certainly knew I couldn't. Well, it's one of those things. I probably could have worked full-time and
Didn't want to.
I didn't want to.
Chose not to.
I didn't want to. I chose not to. So worked part-time, and then left the corporate gig when the kids were 5 and 2. So working for myself.
That was
again,
big risk.
So that was, having it all. And then, as we go, the kids are older, you doing different things. To me now, having it all is, I think it's always been about freedom.
Yeah.
And I think, so I would say I absolutely have it all now. People go, oh, you don't have that, you don't have that. It's like, well, I don't want that.
I don't want that.
So to me, having it all now is I'm in the position where I actually absolutely determine when I work, who I work with, and if I don't want to work on that day I don't do it.
Pretty empowering.
Yeah, and having, in the previous episode we talked about our challenges of, running and stuff and building in time for exercise. Like if I was working so hard that I didn't have time to exercise, I would not be sitting here saying I haven't got it all.
No.
Because that's part of my all now is the freedom to do what I want to do.
What you're talking about, which I think is really interesting, is not measuring your all in one area of your life, right?
Yes.
So I think a big problem for many people, and particularly women, is that they put their biggest measure of success, it's tied to their work.
Okay.
Big mistake.
Do you think that's particularly women or particularly men? Or does it even matter?
That's a good question. Maybe it's everybody or most people. So one of the key things I coach on is people are unhappy in their situation at work. Yes, that's professional.
Yep.
So they don't like their leader, they don't like the industry, they don't feel they're being promoted, they want change. But they have tied their entire self-worth to a job. The one thing we can't control is being employed by others, actually. So be very careful about, if you want it all, what you actually tie your measure of success to.
And I think that is true, where people having it all, it's like the most important thing they're measuring their success is their job.
Yet
or their money or their bank account.
we are the
it is.
sum of many parts, right?
Yeah.
So we're often a daughter or certainly a sibling. We're an aunt, we're an uncle, we're a nephew, we're a niece. We may be a parent. So there's the whole family side of it. So what's our measure of success when it comes to having it all as a family member? What about in the community? What are we doing as part of being a well-functioning, member of society? Do we have a measure of success for that? Our health. I mean, work is just one component of who we are. Be careful how much having it all we tie to the work.
Yeah. And because it can change. It can change.
It does change.
In a drop of a hat.
Absolutely.
Is that a saying, drop of a hat?
It is.
Oh, okay. I thought I was combining two sayings.
Not like you, my little dyslexic friend. Okay, so we've got having it all. It can be different in your 30s to your 40s to your 50s to your 60s and beyond.
Yeah. Imagine what our having it all will be different like in our 60s when that's so way off.
Years.
But, that will change as
That's
well.
That's exciting, don't you think, though, not knowing what that might be.
Yeah.
But having the, I think, the opportunity or the courage to actually create
Yeah.
success.
But so you have recently, was it 2 or 3 years ago, left the corporate world?
3
I mean,
years
we've
ago.
both done it, but mine was 19 years ago. Yours was
3
quite
years ago.
recent, 3 years ago. Did you and I'm not saying you had your self-worth tied to your job, but was there any loss there or mourning?
No, it was a complete and utter change, and I think COVID had a lot to do with it as well. So obviously the world's greatest experiment meant that we all experienced change, and so I was already working from home, and we just bought the farm, doing the corporate gig, which was not unusual to even pre-COVID, because a lot of my work was remote because I was working in a regional role and reporting into a global function. So we were working remotely anyway. And then because we'd become quite used to working remotely through COVID, then when I decided actually it was time to go and have it all and do stuff for me, which meant living in the country, being closer to nature. I wanted to get healthier. I wanted to have time to explore some new things, getting on boards, doing professional coaching, and doing that as a almost full-time gig. It meant that there was a lot of change, and I embraced all of it and thought, if I'm going to have it all, I want to be able to do it all and do it all for me, not for just one component of my life.
Yeah. You just mentioned COVID then, and it just made me think because, COVID, clearly we were all working from home, and now we're in this sort of debate, what's the right amount of time at home or in the office? And again, because it's International Women's Day, I read a report just the other day to saying these companies that are mandating people coming back to the office.
A bit of that.
It's affecting women more than men because part of the having it all is I don't have to be in the office 5 days a week. And I reckon women are finally, and especially like single mums and stuff, they're finally going, actually, I can have a pretty good job as a career and be at home because there's not this expectation of coming into the office. And then all these companies are coming around going, no, you have to come into the office. So the research is showing that women are leaving the workforce because of that.
Are they leaving the workforce or are they leaving certain employers? And I was just thinking the other day, Atlassian came out with a policy. They were certainly the first Australian company to do it, to say, we don't care where you live. You can be in Bahrain or you can be in Ballarat. You can work from wherever you want to. What the policy insisted, 4 times a year, people would get together.
Yeah.
So I think there is something in that. But the thing that shits me a bit about women being the victim of or the beneficiary of remote working is that because we're also expected to do it all, which means we need to be around at home so we can get the domestics done, we can be around for the childcare or the majority of the parenting and do the work.
Yeah, I mean, the research still shows that women still do the vast majority of the work at home, carry the load. May not be the case for everyone, but all the research shows it's still there. So I think
sexism is alive and well. Happy International Women's Day. Gosh, we've gone on a bit of a downer here.
Oh my God. So International Women's Day. All right. I'm all for supporting women.
I know.
On
Do a lot of it.
International Women's Day. I do a lot of it.
As do I.
This International Women's Day, I'm going to be climbing a mountain. And when I get
eating kale,
I'm not going to eating kale.
Running,
with my family, but including my 2 daughters.
Fabulous.
And it was like that's. I spoke about the trek last time, so that's what I'll be doing on International Women's Day. Get to the top of the mountain.
Do you know what the theme is for International Women's Day this year?
I don't know because they change the theme all the time, and it always
they
seems
change it
to
every
be,
year.
Here you go, like motherhoodish statements. What's the theme? What's the theme for this year?
Yeah, no, they haven't disappointed this year. Inspire inclusion.
Inspire inclusion. So just inspire it. Should we just do it? See, okay.
Exactly.
Right, where do I start?
Yeah, be careful.
Where do I start?
I don't want you cancelled.
Oh, okay. I love the fact that International Women's Day and we celebrate. And I love the fact that it's become a thing when it wasn't a thing. It's like, it does remind me when my kids used to say to me, why is there Mother's Day? Why isn't there Kids Day? In fact, my mum used to say, I used to say this to Mum, why is there Mother's Day and Father's Day? Why isn't there Kids Day? And to go, every day is Kids Day. Right?
Yeah.
International Women's Day. I think we need to do more of the let's inspire and empower, and more of the let's promote and invest. And instead of inspiring inclusion, why don't we include? So, for example, if you're sitting here and if you are changing your policy, you've got to be back in the office a certain amount of days, you are not including. That is not inclusion.
Correct.
So anyway, International Women's Day, if you're going to talk this stuff, like make sure your policies support it.
Have you heard of
else shut up.
Have you heard of Cindy Gallop?
Oh my God, I love Cindy Gallop. Her she's got the best tagline.
Blow shit up.
I blow shit up. I love it. I would steal it.
Cindy Gallup's amazing, an absolutely amazing woman, an Asian woman living in the US.
In New York.
In New York,
yeah.
In the Sky Garden. And she says on International Women's Day and every other day, don't use words like celebrate and empower. Use words like hire, promote, pay, raise, bonus, fund, invest in, enrich, give equity, elect, lead. Don't just say it, do it. And one day is not enough.
Yes.
She goes on to say that brands and companies that engage in feel-good exercises on this one day, on International Women's Day or the month, yet they continue underpaying and under-promoting sexism, harassment and forcing women out of industries. So don't celebrate women, don't empower women, pay us.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that
true,
quote.
isn't it?
That is, yeah, she does blow shit up. The other my little thing that annoys me, and you see this a lot over LinkedIn, is if you are asking a female speaker to speak at your events on International Women's Day or for the month of International, pay them. Don't do this bullshit of, look at us supporting women by bringing a female speaker in and they're not paying them. No. Now, there'll be a lot of people that speak for free and don't get a fee because, they're a CEO or whatever and it's their job. But if a person's a professional speaker and you're asking them to speak, pay them.
And it's about time, people's time, right?
Yes.
Time comes with value.
Yeah.
So that's a very fair
And
point.
I'm not saying that for myself because, as I just said, I won't be here International Women's Day.
I will be, and you can
Jac
pay
will
me.
be there. Pay Jac.
Okay, so having it all, episode 7, keeping it real with Jac and Ral.
Yeah.
You think you've got it all. I think I've got it all. Did we
Well,
have it?
you know what? I think I've got it all at the moment.
That was
Things
exactly
could
where I was going.
change. Like things could change.
Things do change. So having it all in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and they do change. Former Governor General, great female, Quentin Bryce, she said women can have it all, they just might not have it all at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very fair comment. I think that's a comment irrespective of the gender, right?
Yes.
So the importance of having it all. So what about some tips? Give us some tips. So how do we have it all, Ral?
Well, I think the very first thing is you need to define what your all is, and it's your all. And don't get sucked into what anyone else's all is. Don't compare yourself to anyone. Be very clear on what your all is. And if your all is not working, staying at home with the kids,
That's working.
That's your all. Yeah, that's bloody hard work. That's your all. Don't apologize for it.
Own it.
Own it. This is what and it's almost like what makes me happy. So you said, yes, it makes me happy. To me, my all is about freedom of choice.
Oh, I
So
like that. I saw a great quote the other day.
Yeah.
Money is the tool, freedom is the goal.
love that. Money, yes, because money does give you freedom.
Well,
because
money
and
gives you
again,
some
you know,
choices.
we're sitting here from what we've said before. We know a very privileged position. There's a lot of people that have to do work that they don't really like because they're not in a financial position to do so. So what was that quote again? Money is the
tool, freedom is the goal.
yeah, love it.
Okay, so tip number one,
Define
define
your
what your all is.
What your all is,
and
yeah.
recognise yours could be different to somebody else. You do you. Tip number 2, to having it all.
It's going to change. Like it could change without you even knowing about it. Like, for example, you might have a great job that you really like and then the next day you don't have that job. But no, it will change and it will change over time. And that's, I don't think if I didn't have time to exercise every day 20 years ago, I wouldn't have fussed me, like I didn't care.
Whereas
But
now it's a thing.
Now it's a thing.
Yeah.
And you've got to have time to massage that kale we spoke about in the last episode.
I think one of the challenges people have, and I've mentioned it earlier, but I'm going to say it again, particularly for people listening in, and I'm thinking of a number of my clients here, do not tie your measure of success to your job, okay? You can have a goal to be successful in your job and be, aspirational and career driven, but that is only one component of your life. I've had at least 16 jobs in 5 different industries across 5 different markets. If I had tied my measure of success and made it my only measure of success, I would be so disappointed because I've had success, but I've also had mess. Not all of my jobs have been successful. I have not always been good at what I've done. I've buggered things up left, right and centre.
So I was going to say part of the job, one measure of my success with work, even with work, and I talked about, in my 20s it was all about money and getting promoted, but I actually really loved my job. Like I wasn't doing I hated my job, but it was good money. I think loving what you're doing,
It's a great thing to do.
Really liking what you do.
Sure.
Is,
but it's not the only thing, right?
No.
Okay,
no.
you've also got a family, or you've also got your health, or you're also wanting to be part of a community. So put some success measures against those components of your life as well.
Yeah.
Don't put it all into the one basket.
Absolutely.
Of work.
And so last week we spoke about challenge yourself. Sometimes when a good thing you could do is, well, what is your all? And maybe the all is, I always wanted to take up hockey, right? But I don't have the time. Well, challenge yourself and then find the time and define that as whatever your all is.
Agree.
We do, for anyone listening, maybe this is their first podcast, go back to the start because
and give us a rating.
We
a
do.
5-star rating, please.
We do talk about a lot of stuff, and it's and clearly we often say we spoke about in a previous episode,
because a lot of our I think topics of conversation and the discussion is interconnected. It does have a flow. There is a lot of similar things that we tend to talk about. Okay, episode 7, keeping it real with
so
Jac
we're
and Ral.
defining your all. Having your all is, it's got to be your all.
Okay, so the tips.
Do not measure your success by comparison to other people.
Okay, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes, comparison is the thief of joy.
So the tips are: define what your all is. Recognise that it will change.
It will change either deliberately as you evolve and want something different, or circumstances. And as you said, that's a good one. Please don't make I know we've said make your all, but please don't make it just about work.
Don't make it just about work. Recognise.
Look at your whole life and almost have measures of success in that. And then I think too, Jac, what some people could do is go, look, I'm going really well in that area, and I'm really well in that area, but not so much in that other one. And so try to get that balance.
Get that balance right.
And don't compare.
Don't compare yourself. Your all to somebody else's is very different. So there's some good tips on having it all.
Yeah.
Now, a little birdie told me
Yes.
that you, my friend,
Yes.
might be celebrating a birthday.
Oh, right.
Is it this week?
No idea.
Or
It is this week.
Oh, International Women's Day
I know,
week.
It's the day after International Women's
cool
Day.
is
So
that?
I always get to celebrate my birthday straight after International Women's Day, which I like.
And you'll be away with the girls?
I will be away with the girls and the family, Steve, and so we will be in Queenstown. So having a lovely walk probably somewhere and then going out for dinner.
Sounds like you're having it all to me.
Yes, it feels like I'm having it all. I've always wanted to do a New Zealand
Happy
family
birthday.
holiday. Thank you. So there we go. There's another episode of Keeping It Real with Jac and Ral. As usual, if you like us, nice little 5-star rating. Share it with your friends. The more you share it, the more people we can reach with our wisdom.
I think it's
Advice.
wisdom, entertainment, humour, and it's all free.
It's free.
Costing
How good's
us our time.
Keelan's a
bloody
fortune.
expensive.
Anyway, okay, team. See you next week.
Bye.
You've been listening to another episode of Keeping It Real with Jac and Ral. If you like what you've heard, don't forget to tell others about it and give a 5-star review. They may seem confident, but they really are sensitive 5-star needy souls. Yeah, right. Keeping It Real, created by Jac Phillips and Gabriel Dolan. Produced by Keelan Ferrari Brown. and this really real voiceover, spoken by Richard Phillips.